All right. Good evening, everybody. It is March 8th, 2022. You're now watching Real Talk with Ronnie live. This is our Roundtable show. And today is International Women's Day. So I want to wish all the women out there all over the world, especially my mom and my wife and everyone that's close to me and all my friends and everybody, a happy holiday. So it's International Women's Day. And I figured it might be good to give a little background on this holiday. So I just did a little search prior to the show, and this is what I came up with. All right. So the earliest version was purportedly a Women's Day, and it's organized by the Socialist Party of America. So that's a little bit of irony there, right? It was organized by the Socialist Party of America in New York City in February of 28th of 1909. After the women gained their suffrage in Soviet Russia in 1917, this holiday was made a national holiday on March 8th. And then it was subsequently celebrated on that date by the socialist movement and communist countries in Eastern Europe. This holiday has been associated with the far left movement, and it was adopted by the UN in 1977. That's when it officially became a mainstream global holiday. So adopted in 1977, and this is where we are today. Now, on my show, to commemorate this great holiday, this special day, I have three incredible women, right? Three women that, I am humbled and honored to be in the, presence of. And they hail from all different parts of our country. Our first guest is Miss Angie Wong. She is the vice president of BLAKPAC. It is an organization that's dedicated to recruiting people of color to run for office. My second guest is Darlene Shotmeyer. She is the Republican State Committee woman for New Jersey and also serves currently as the vice chairwoman of the Nj Gop. Our third guest to round out our roundtable is Miss Sue Cienki. She is currently the chairwoman of the Rhode Island GOP. So three titans and then little old me, but that's okay, right? I have a lot to learn from these three incredible people. So let's bring them on. Angie, Darlene, and Sue. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming on my show. And I am eternally humbled to be in your presence. So to start off our show, why don't we start off with Miss Angie Wong? Angie, you are here. You're actually, zooming in or, you're dialing in from the great state of Florida, but you're originally from New York City, right? So would you like to give us a little background about yourself, how you got into politics, and anything else?
Sure. Thank you so much, Ron, for having us on your show. This is a great day to be celebrating with all these wonderful women. I wish I wore red so I didn't get the GOP message there, but it's all right. I'm in my dark colors. It's been a long day. So I am actually a New York City refugee. I ran down here to Florida as soon as COVID hit my great state. And Manhattan was taken over by essentially COVID and all the COVID warriors. I have young children who couldn't go to school. School was shut down. And on the very first day, the public schools were shut down in New York City. I brought them down to Miami, where I would say this is the sixth borough of New York City right now, because everyone kind of came down this way. You see more New York State license plates in Florida than I think in various parts of New York State. I got involved in politics pretty much. I did about a 13-year stint in Asia as a foreign correspondent. I had graduated journalism school and was told by a top editor if I ever wanted to write and report to basically go overseas. So that's what I did. And when I had returned in a little bit before 2016, I saw what was going on in the country. Now, if you were overseas in 2015 during the election, the presidential election campaigning season, everyone hated Donald Trump. Everybody overseas, no one could figure out how this guy got as far as he got. And that was kind of the sentiment that I came back with until I took a little ride outside of New York City and went into more of the suburban rural areas. Well, I saw a lot of lawn signs for Trump, and I started looking into this guy, and I'm like, wow, he actually, minus the Queen's style, really speaks to the people. Now I'm from Queens as well. Very similar parts of Queens from Donald Trump. We share a birthday, maybe not the same year, but I really got into him, and I wasn't activated at first. It was only because when my children went to public school in New York City that I felt tinges of what I felt in Asia, which was the censorship, which was the cancel culture, which was the shaming for having different beliefs, that I started kind of twitching. And that twitch turned into helping on 5 city council races in New York City. I helped out on the Manhattan DA race and other races, anything I could. Just purely volunteer at first. And I really got into campaigning, really loved the fever of campaigning, that now I am helping with congressional races across various states, which I'm very excited about. And I'm helping run BLAKPAC, which is to support Black, Latino, and Asian leaders. We're trying to get our freshman class to have a few more minority candidates and leaders in.
Okay, great. So let's go on to so Ms. Shotmeyer, she just texted me that she froze. She's experiencing some sort of technical problem, so we're gonna wait for her to come back on. But while we wait, let's talk to Chairwoman Cienki from Rhode Island, the great state, albeit a very small state, but still a great state. So Sue, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved into Rhode Island politics?
Well, I'm a transplant. I was born in New York, so I'm a New Yorker, but came to Rhode Island via Maryland. We lived for a number of years in Maryland. I'm the mother of 5 children. I've always been politically involved. I went to law school and was vice president of the Student Bar Association when I was in law school. Always paid very close attention. But it wasn't until I was the mother of 5 children that I was sitting at the bus stop one day. I'm a practicing attorney also, and I was sitting at the bus stop and I was talking about things that were going on in the schools. And someone said to me, you should run for school board. And that was my first foray into the schools. What I noticed was our facilities were absolutely atrocious. We lived in a fairly well-to-do area in Rhode Island, and the curriculum wasn't aligned with national standards. So I ran for office and was the highest vote getter because I guess I had 5 kids. Everybody knew who I was. So I ran, and then I said, I'm going to walk away from politics. I have enough on my plate. And I was recruited to run for really the town mayor. And I ran for 4 years. And after that, 3 years ago, I was approached by a number of people in the state party, and they asked me if I would come in and take over as state party chair. So I ran for the office against 5 other people and took over control of the Rhode Island Republican Party. And as you can imagine, this is a very Democratic area, but I think I've only lived in Democratic states. So I know what it's like to be the minority party. And I came in with a goal to increase our membership. And certainly our representation at the statewide level, and help any Republican presidential candidate get elected. So that's really what I've been doing for the past 3 years. I ran again for re-election last year, and nobody ran against me the second time. And I've got a plan in place to increase a different voice. We are a super minority party up here in Rhode Island, but I think that there's changes coming. So we're very hopeful with what is going to happen in 2022 here.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. So now we have Vice Chair Shotmeyer back on.
Hi.
Hello, Darlene.
Sorry.
It's all good. Okay. So we just finished going through the background of Angie and Sue. So now it's your turn.
Okay, great.
How did you get into politics? And please tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, I'm Darlene Shotmeyer, born and raised in New Jersey. Went off to college and came back because New Jersey had great jobs and opportunities. Got involved locally. My husband's family has a small business, so we just supported. My father was a policeman, so we always supported the policemen, the fire, our local town councils, all the things that go on that way. And all different fundraisers for those type of things. I got involved in helping out that way. And then 8 years ago, I became the Bergen County State Committee woman. Each county in New Jersey has a male and female committee person. And then in this past June, I became vice chair of the NJGOP. So, and it's been an exciting time to be a Republican in New Jersey, as I'm sure you know. It was Virginia and New Jersey. And not a lot of people had a lot of faith in us, but we came really close and we picked up 7 seats and 6 of them were women. So, it was very exciting.
Okay, and last year in our governor's race here, Jack Girelli did extremely well, right? He came within 2.5 points of beating Phil Murphy, and I think a lot of that success was due to the work and the help that he got from the party, right? From the NJGOP. Yep. So, given that it's International Women's Day, I'm going to pose this question and I'm going to ask you all, right? So what does International Women's Day mean to you, personally? Let's start with Angie.
Oh boy. Well, I am so excited to be in the same room with the two, the chairwoman and vice chairwoman of, the GOPs for New Jersey and Rhode Island. I can't believe I'm on the stage with you guys. So this is what it means to me. It means that from what I see within this party, the women are the doers of this party. They are literally the backbones and they are the cheerleaders. And I am just surrounded by the most inspiring women I've ever met in any of, walks of life that I've had several careers. And this is by far, from what I've seen, dominated by women who are doers. There's very little drama, even though we're in politics, because we're just trying to get good candidates into GOP seats. I'm just, to me, that's incredible that I can work with such great people, men and women. But I will say that for sure, the women make it look so easy, and they're doing so much. They have careers as well on the side. They have families, and they some of them still have babies. So I'm just so in awe. And I will tell you, I love working with female candidates, especially. I find that there's just less ego involved. And I do look forward. I mean, the last time that I worked in the New York City races, they were all females. We were actually calling ourselves the squad because we were just these female GOPers trying to just get things done. So, International Women's Day, there's so much to celebrate. And there's just been so much, just bad news in the world. So to have one day where we can just kind of be grateful and support each other, that to me means the world.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now let's go on to Chairwoman Cienki. What does International Women's Day mean to you?
It means yes, we can. And that's what I want to tell women as they approach, heading into politics. I think sometimes there's a little bit of hesitation, but I'm the mother of 5. I had young babies when I ran for my first office as school committee. And I got so much out of it and met so many terrific people. So the International Women's Day is just to really reiterate to women, yes, you can do this. You are already great multitaskers. I had such a great experience when I ran. And then when I ran as really what was the mayor of the town, I was the female and I had 4 gentlemen that were supporting me as council people. So I just want to reiterate to women that yes, you can do this. You already are great multitaskers and your voice is really very important and seminal to the discussions as we approach a new election year. You can do it. We're here to help you.
Perfect. Now, lastly, Ms. Darlene Shotmeyer, the chairwoman of the vice chair of the NJGOP. What does International Women's Day mean to you?
International Women's Day means to me, when you look at the history of women and what has gone on in other countries and even in our country here, it's changed through the decades. But one of the things that is the same, I think, is there's so much that unites us rather than divides us on all sides. And I think, being from New Jersey, I'm sure Rhode Island is maybe similar. We are in the minority. but I always think that it's a good thing because we're offering now another voice for women, and people are getting excited. I mean, a lot of the issues, when you look through the history, the issues that got women excited and got them motivated are kind of where we're at again in history. So yes, you can. I agree completely. And there's just a lot of excitement, a lot of wonderful things coming up ahead.
Okay, perfect. And let's stick with the vice chair here. So, as the vice chair of the NJGOP, what are some of the policies that the party is trying to push forward to kind of involve or to increase, females to join the party and to run for office?
Well, we're at a really great opportunity here. Our chairman is very supportive of women running and women's issues. We have a group called Women for Stronger New Jersey, which it's a separate group from the NJGOP, but we all work together in supporting and fundraising for women to run. And I think the NJGOP, we realize that we need good candidates and women in order to make a difference. And so I think there's just a huge shift in just the overall attitude of things. We have several chairwomen who are chairwomen of different counties that we didn't really have in the past. So there's lots of initiatives to get involved with. So it's very exciting. I mean, I'm in there. We have other women that are involved. It's moving forward. I think you're going to see a lot of success.
Okay, perfect. Now, Angie, you are the vice president of BLAKPAC. What does BLAKPAC stand for again? Because I know it's like an acronym, right?
Yes, it is a play on words. It stands for Black, Latino, Asian Knowledge. And we're a super PAC. And, despite that, we support any candidates that support Second Amendment, school choice, and freedom of speech. So you don't have to be a minority. You don't have to play the race card. As long as you have those values, we are happy to support you. This election season, we've been supporting a lot of vets. We feel like that's going to be a win.
Ooh. Angie, we kind of lost a little bit of audio.
Hang on, I'm back.
Okay, all right.
So,
we lost audio again. I don't think it's your fault because I keep hearing like this cluttery noise, right? I don't know what that's coming from, but a little bit of technical issues here. Angie, we still can't hear you. Nope, we can't hear you. Okay. Why don't we wait for that problem to resolve? Let's move on to the chairwoman of the Rhode Island GOP. So, Sue, as a mother of 5, right? Is politics something that you would ever want for your children to, be involved in? Given the nasty nature that politics can sometimes, become, is this something that you will subscribe to your children as they get older and want to jump in?
Well, I think they have to. I think politics touches almost everything in your life. So you have to be well informed, you have to be educated, and you have to have your voice being heard. I think that it's really, really important. Now, I have to tell you, they don't all agree with me. And politically, we don't always align up. But I said, I have a middle child who leans more left than I do. But it is a wonderful example of how two people who love each other can disagree on some political issues. And we talk it out, and sometimes I convince him I'm right. And sometimes he tells me, you're not right. And it's nice to be able to have that conversation. I wish we could take that example and show other people that there are different ways and different perspectives to look at things. And you have to be really on top of all the topics so that you can get your point across to someone that doesn't exactly see the world as you do. So it's been great having someone that doesn't politically align with me.
Okay.
Terrific.
All right. Let's pose the same question to Angie. Angie, I know that your children are probably younger, right? So as they get older and they see that, mommy's out there doing this and, running campaigns, is this something that you would want for them in the future?
So my kids didn't really understand what I was doing. They just saw that mommy flew to various states every week, and she's always on the phone. It was only until about a month ago when I was on the Jesse Waters show that my daughter watched me and said, "You're on TV and you're talking about the border, and you're talking about, saving children that are being, smuggled across the border and stuff." So I think that was like such an amazing moment that like when my own child is proud of their mom, it's like, it was just so much fun. My children, I will tell you, they come from pretty liberal schools. So I'm constantly fighting the teachers and the PTAs all the time. My daughter, I forget what year, I guess it was 2017 or 18, came back and said, "Look, Trump's building that wall and he's killing all the butterflies." I said, "What? He's killing the butterflies?" Because yeah, he's putting the wall right where the butterfly sanctuary is in Texas. And I said, I think they could fly over it, and she just wouldn't have it because her teachers drilled it in their minds that Trump is killing butterflies. Okay, so I actually went down to McAllen, and I just so happened to be at the National Butterfly Sanctuary where she was talking about. And I took lots of pictures for her. I showed that, don't worry, there's slats between the walls. They can fly through it. They can navigate over it and under it. So we have to teach our children media literacy, and we have to teach them to question things. I know in a school setting, the teacher is God, and they listen to their teachers because those are the authorities. But at some point, we do need to teach them to kind of question things and think for themselves. And yes, I'm a journalist, so I am naturally curious anyway. But I hope if my kids don't go into politics or don't want anything to do with politics, at the very least, I want them to think for themselves, and also not just, look at news headlines and make life's decisions based on that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now, Madam Vice Chair, your daughter, actually, she recently wrote a book, right?
Yes.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about her struggles?
Yes. The question that you were asking about is, I have 3 children raised in New Jersey, and they are all Republicans, which is quite a feat these days. So people will ask me, how did that happen? And I say, well, we used to have hot topics in the kitchen. The kids would be, they'd have their friends over, things like that. And whatever was going on in the world, we would just bring it up. My kids would like roll their eyes like, oh man, because, there's different opinions. And a lot of times I would know, different families or different things. And that was kind of the reason why we would talk about it. And I agree with Angie. When you talk about it and you get into some specifics, it's like, oh, okay. I say, explaining things to them. And yes, my daughter just wrote a book. It's called Are You Drowning? And yes, she went through some really difficult times. And I think that is one of the reasons that in New Jersey we had such a red wave, was because of the women and their families, whether you had young children or children that are, trying to get jobs out of college, or the lockdowns, the mandates, all of it. I think it was a time for discussion and a time for action. And so I think we're going to see a lot of that.
All right, great. Now, this question is probably posed more to, this could be posed to all 3. So all 3 of you are mothers, right? Darlene, I believe you have 3 children, right?
Yes.
Sue, you have 5, and Angie, you have what, 2?
I have 2.
2. So after going through the ordeals of the pregnancy, the labor process, the raising of the children, would you say politics in comparison is harder or easier than being a mother? And we'll pose this question to Sue first, since she's the veteran here with 5 kids.
I think they're both very different, but there is nothing like trying to negotiate with a 2-year-old that prepares you better for politics, for people that just don't want to listen to your perspective. And you become a little bit of a dictator when they're that young. But it certainly is, politics is a vacation for me compared to raising children, which is tough, more rewarding than anything I've ever done. And certainly my proudest moment is to say that I'm a mom of 5 pretty terrific kids.
Okay. What about Darlene?
Rephrase me the question, Ron. What is harder?
Which one is more difficult, raising children or politics?
Oh, I think they kind of all go together. I remember when my son was in 2nd grade and he didn't want to, write his, penmanship. And so on his spelling test, it came back and it was wrong because you couldn't read it. So I said, well, Jacob, I said, you're going to have to go talk to the teacher. I said, you're going to have to sell it. And so I said, go ahead in there. And so I don't know. I think it kind of all goes together. And I guess, like I was saying, with family values, and when you have kids that you want to stay in the area, which I would like them to and be able to, and we pay so much taxes for schools, I just think it kind of all blends together. But, and it's people, and it's getting along with people. And, whether you agree with them or you disagree. So I don't know, kind of all rolls together for me.
Okay. And Angie, you have 2, I want to say 2 small kids, right?
I do. I completely agree with Darlene. It's the same skills. I run a lot of first run candidates. It is like taking care of children. They're all my kids. All the candidates that I babysit every day, they call me up. They need stuff. They need fixing. They need whatever. I'm there. So it's very similar. They're different age brackets, but they're all needy. And I love playing mama bear. So I have a great time.
And I think, sometimes we see that, candidates and little children, even though they're in different age brackets, the mental wise, they actually might be pretty similar, right?
Very similar.
All right. Now, let me ask you a more serious question, right? So Roe v. Wade has been a hot topic issue in this country since it was, in the courts, and it's coming up again now, right? So what are your thoughts on Roe v. Wade? And you have to necessarily be pro it or against it in order to, be, feminine or, whatever. So let me pose that question first to Darlene.
Well, it's always been a hot topic button, and for women. But I will say that when Cuomo lit the Empire State Building pink because of the extreme abortion bill that he signed, I was sick to my stomach, because I just don't think it's something that we should ever be celebrating. I think it's a very personal choice. It's a very personal experience as women. And I think it's become such political fodder, shall we say. And I think it makes a big difference whether you are in a state like New Jersey, whether you are pro-life versus a state, some of the other states. And we have such a radical, progressive stand on it now as a state that I have to be pro-life, because I don't think it should be at a point of pregnancy and delivery and you can abort a baby. So I think it's changed so much, where my young daughters in their 20s are much more pro-life than I ever was, because they say it's being used as birth control. So it's a very hot topic issue. I'm not sure what's going to happen, and maybe it's going to go back to the states, and maybe that's the better way that it should. We'll see.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chairwoman, Sue?
Yeah, I think what happened last election cycle, and certainly on the last legislative cycle, is we passed probably a really tough election bill, abortion bill in Rhode Island, that you can abort your baby up until about 9 months. I know that there are lots of people, and particularly women, that thought that they went too far. They were afraid that Roe v. Wade would be struck down, so they went around and campaigned to try to codify Roe v. Wade in Rhode Island law, but they extended it up until 9 months. I kind of take that a little personally. I have my middle child was born at 7 months in my 7th month of pregnancy. He was a 27-weeker. He is working on his doctorate now. He's a success story. And I just can't imagine being a vulnerable, poor woman who, when a doctor would come in and say, oh, we're just going to abort this baby, you're losing certainly someone who I look at now who's just amazing contributing member of society. And to do that to women, I just think is just pretty darn awful.
Okay. And Angie.
Well, I'm wondering why now.
Oh, we've cut off again. Sound. I don't know what's going on today with the
I know
problems. Okay.
It's okay.
You're back in.
Hear me now.
Okay.
I'm just wondering why now? Why are we revisiting that issue now? Why is the Supreme Court by June revisiting this case that is decades old now? I'm just wondering what in our ecosystem has brought us back in the full circle. Look, I think that the progressive left is challenging every which way of life, our values. And this is just one of the small steps that they're taking to kind of push the boundaries. And I wonder where the stop is. Is the stop, I mean, if we don't stop it, are we going to start asking if we should have infanticide or if we should go beyond that? I mean, I feel like this is really just another test of our boundaries and where we stand, whether as conservatives or just as moderates. And I don't know where the pendulum will swing next. So whether, if you have so BLAKPAC is very pro-life, and that is something that we stand for. I do see both sides of the issue, though, especially when you go past the Mexican border where abortions are not allowed. And that is a fabric of that society south of our border. And you see there's also problems there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Supreme Court justices will argue this case. I think there are some modern updates and merits to it. But I just don't know if the American public will be on board just yet. I think it's going to be something that we will have to relearn. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in June.
Okay, great. All right. So besides politics, I mean, I know that you women are very, heavily involved in politics, and it's your job, right? But besides politics, are there any other passion projects that you have? Let's start with Sue, and I know that Darlene, she logged off again, but I don't know what's going on today. Today is full of technical, problems, but it's okay. We will get past these, right? All right. So, Sue, what are some of your passion projects?
Well, other than my 5 kids, raising my 5 kids, and they're also very different. I am an avid reader. I'm an avid cyclist. I've done a number of century rides. So a fitness guru. I love to do things like that. I love to garden. So I have lots of other great activities, but really reading, cycling, gardening are things that I just absolutely love to do.
Okay. What is your favorite book?
My favorite book is
on the spot.
Yeah, no, it's called A Fine Balance. It is actually a book about India, and I just think it was just beautifully written. It's a beautifully written, very large book, but really opened up my eyes into how people in different countries live. And we take a lot for granted in the United States, but the caste system over there, very different lifestyles in India. So it's just a beautifully written book.
Okay. Madam Vice Chair, what are some of your other passion projects when you're not doing, politics?
Well, I kind of mentioned before, my daughter wrote a book. She had a terrible injury, her 3 weeks into her freshman year of college, and my son was on the couch with cancer, and they started a company because they wanted to give back called J. Shotmeyer. And so we gave back to the type of cancer that my son had. And I was involved in the whole thing because we had to do something and we had to make lemons out of lemonade. So now my pet project is, as we've gone, that was 2013 till now, 15, they started the company. So I just kind of wear lots of hats, lots of hats with helping out with that. So I've been traveling with her with book signings and, lots of different ideas and things like that. So yeah. And
Okay.
I also do women's ministry at my church.
Oh, wow. So you're also like a pastor, sort of?
No, I help with different family life Bible studies, and there's a moms group that we have that's just an encouraging group that the moms come out, so I help organize with that, or sometimes I'll do different things that we've done, that we've worked in the past, different parenting classes, things like that.
Okay, great. Wow. Many hats, right?
Yeah.
Angie, aside from taking care of political candidates and your children, what are some things that they like to do for fun? What are some of your passion projects?
Yeah, well, actually, politics is my hobby. It's actually something that I do on the side, and that turned into a full-time gig. So I always turn things that I love doing as a hobby into a job, which then takes the fun out of things sometimes. But I'm actually, again, I'm a journalist by trade. So I think the two go hand in hand. I am constantly working and constantly traveling, which I love. One of the things that now that my kids are getting of that age and learning about history, I'm traveling with them. I'm taking them to see it for themselves. So whether it be, in Boston or in Washington, D.C., or coming with me on various trips, I want them to see things. I actually want to take them to the border in McAllen, Texas. It was my husband who told me, no, you can't do that. It's too dangerous. But there's something to be said about old school reporting, which is you're there to witness and report. Not any of this ad-libbing, none of this op-editing. You're just there to report what you've seen and witnessed. And I wish we can all go back to that, because we have a lot of journalists who are activists now. And that's, to me, that is affecting our brains and the way we live, because our media is how we make our decisions in our lives. There's a big percentage of that anyway. So, I'm not trying to dodge the question. I just mean to say that I don't have a life. I just work all the time. And I'm either writing a story or getting a story, chasing a story, or working with candidates, or fundraising, or any of those great things that we have to do, because 22 is a big election year. We want to change the makeup of our Congress and our Senate and our governorships and local, state, city, whatever it is that you're doing, school boards. I'm just excited that everyone's so pumped this year. I've not seen energy like this. And again, I haven't been in politics that long, but I've not seen such great energy like this. And everyone is super positive. So, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the rest of this election year goes.
Great. Okay, great. Now, I noticed that when I muted the vice chair's mic, we don't get that clucking sound. So
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
I'm on my phone. I had to switch to my phone, so I don't know.
Right. No, that's fine.
Sorry.
But okay. So a few more questions, because I know you ladies have a very, very busy lifestyle and a lot of things to do. So this might be a fun question, or I think men might find this question to be offensive. But what are some things that in your mind women do better than men? And don't say everything. So how about Chairwoman's Cienki?
I just think we're so used to being multitaskers that we're really good at that. I can't say I'm a better cook than some of my kids, who certainly have good culinary skills, but we're just so used to, having our hands in so many different areas, from raising the 5 kids to working, to cooking, to keeping the house clean. We're just really good at multitasking and not getting too overwhelmed. And also having the ability to say, I need help. I can't do this alone. Sometimes I think that men just think I can do it and they can't.
Okay, thank you. What about Angie? What are some things that you think that women do better than men at?
Well, I don't know if this is a comparison, but what I love is that women support women, especially GOP women supporting other GOP women. That is what I live for, because I come from a media background where that is not always the case. Women don't always support each other just to get ahead, and in other industries, vanity industries like that. So to be kind of a new member of the GOP and watching women support each other. I've joined some of the greatest women's clubs, like the Women's National Republican Club in New York. I've been involved in some of the GOP clubs in Georgia and Florida. I mean, they just take you under their wings. They don't care who you are. They don't care what you look like, where you come from. They're just, it's almost like, because we have similar values, they take you under their wing and they make you family. So I would say women supporting women is what we do best.
Perfect. And Madam Vice Chair, what are your thoughts?
Well, I definitely multitasking, and definitely the supporting of women. I also think that we bring a certain perspective that the men just don't bring to it, because of we're in support roles a lot, whether we want to or not. We have our regular careers, but we have support roles. I mean, during the pandemic, my parents are in their 80s. So we had all of that, and the nursing home sagas and things to go on. So it just gives us a different perspective. And I think also the social emotional side of things because of that. So we tend to be able to look at a candidate or a situation, and we welcome a lot of different ideas to it. So I just think that a lot of times that we will talk things out and help to get everyone get along better, even within our our counties or our parties. I will tell you what my son told me. He called me and I talked to him for a while, and he goes, "Mom, you just saved me like thousands of dollars in counseling." So I said, "Okay, great," and he hung up. So I think that just like we're listeners, and I think that's a huge, wonderful thing.
Okay, great. Now, given that today is International Women's Day, so you are all the better half, right? Your worst half, the men, right? Are they doing anything special for you on this day? Any like special dinner that they're cooking up, or anything? What about Darlene? Is Chuck doing
No.
anything today special?
I don't even know if they knew it was International Women's Day, to tell you the truth. So need a little more education in my house on that, I think.
Okay, what about Angie?
Oh boy, you know what he's doing? He's babysitting right now, so I can be
Okay.
on the show. And I gotta tell you, I don't know about you ladies, but I couldn't do what I do and travel as much as I have to travel for this job without my husband taking on a lot of the mommy duties that I was doing for the past few years. So I have to say, even though it's International Women's Day, I gotta kind of give a percentage back to my husband.
Okay, great. And I'm sure he's really liking that, right? Okay, what about Sue?
I'm a widower.
I'm
so
sorry. Okay.
no, that's fine. But he
So
was
he's
my
helping
biggest
you he's helping you in heaven, right? And like other
Yes,
ways. Right?
he was my biggest cheerleader. In fact, he is the one that encouraged me to first run for office. And he had no idea what it was like to be a politician, but he certainly was my biggest cheerleader. And now I have 5 great kids who follow his lead to support me in any way possible, from cooking dinners to making sure that everyone's got a babysitter. And so he was a wonderful example to all of them.
Okay. We've got a comment here from Mr. Barry Wilkes, who's actually the president of the Glen Rock GOP club here in Jersey. And this is what he says. Very interesting to listen to the 3 of you tonight. Really would like to thank you for your dedication and all the time you put into being available for the people. It's a constant pace of running from one place to another, answering a steady stream of questions and giving advice to anyone that may need it. Great to have you out there working for us. So this is from Barry Wilkes. the president of the GOP club in Glen Rock. Great guy. Thank you, Barry. All right. So, are there any things that well, we talked about like what are some of your passion projects, right? But when you're not working, right? Because and I know that Angie, politics to you is your passion project. So I mean, it kind of melts, But are there like fun things that you do? Like, what are some fun things that you women do when you're not working, when you're not doing politics, when you're not talking to candidates? What are some of the fun things that have nothing to do with politics that you like to do? Let's start with Stu.
Oh, me? Just being with my family, being with friends. I certainly, again, love to cycle. So just enjoying the outdoors. I know my last name is Cienki, which happens to be Ukrainian. That's been in the news a little bit, but I am not Ukrainian. This
Okay.
face. It's very Irish looking. People talking to people, getting out in the community. And maybe that's why politics is in my blood, because I just love talking to people.
Okay. Darlene, what do you like to do for fun?
What do I like to do for fun? Well, I would say family and entertaining. I like to entertain, and I love people as well. And I guess I'm an encourager, if I would say anything. So anything that has to do with encouraging others, I'm all in. I like to play tennis. I'm not that good, but I do like to play. So anything active outdoors, I'm so excited for spring to come. Yeah. So anything outdoors,
great.
I would say.
Angie?
I don't know if this is fun or not, but I really like long haul airplane rides because I get to spend 16 hours by myself. I don't have cell phone coverage. I am just like in my own zone. I have a TV at home, but I don't ever get used to it because my kids are always on it or somebody's on it. So I actually get the screen to myself, and I have a little bit of downtime to do whatever I have to do. I used to take the 16-hour flight a lot, but these days it's more like 3 or 4 hours. But still, that is my time. And yes, I love my family. I love spending time with them. But sometimes having completely shut off the world for 3 or 4 hours with no cell phone coverage is the best.
Right. Yep. Now, Angie, you touched upon something before, and so does Sue. You said that one of the things that women do best is that women support women, right? So I'm going to pose this question. So when Hillary Clinton ran for president in 2016, was that a situation in which women supported women? Like, did that make you more likely to support her, or was that a different ball game? Let's start with Angie.
Well, she did say the future is women. So here we are tonight, all speaking on International Women's Day. I actually think the future is conservative women. Just add that in there. But you know what? I actually worked for Hillary Clinton when
Really?
I was a young. Yes, I volunteered in 1999 when she was running for senator in New York State. And that was when, you're 18 and you're a Democrat. Sorry, guys, I wasn't always a Republican and conservative. And I believed that she was going to change the world. I loved her husband. I think maybe that's why I wanted to work with her. It was an eye opener. I think it's because I worked with Hillary that I did not want to vote for her in 2016, sadly. So yeah, I know her team quite well. I used to know them quite well. I don't know who her team is anymore. But they were actually very inspiring, and I wanted to grow up to be versions of her team back in 1999, because there were a lot of them were women. The only thing I didn't love and I didn't support about Hillary was that it was a lot of type A women and everyone was clawing at each other. I think that made it to be a very hostile environment. And I think that I'm hypersensitive to that. I like supporting women just, I don't know, maybe I grew into that role. And I really feel like for all of us to take on younger mentors and mentees, I think that's really important because the torch has to be passed. And I think the earlier you give the confidence to women, especially in the political world, the better, and kind of help them, step through all the kind of like the landmines and things that the dark arts of politics can bring. So I love mentoring, so that's one of the things that I love doing, and especially female candidates. I love working with them because they're just go-getters and they really are the future. I think it was Winsome Sears who mentioned that in one of her speeches, and it really kind of sunk in.
Okay. Now, speaking of female candidates, is there one female candidate in mind that you think is like a up and comer on the national scene, Angie?
Wow, there's so many. I really like Carla Spalding. I think she's Virginia, if I got that right. She's definitely someone that we're looking at her to do great things. I'm trying to think. There's so many. Yesli Vega. She's a former cop, former law enforcement. I don't know if she was just a cop. And she's also running for Congress. There's one really young girl. I'm sorry to even say that. But she wants to be the youngest female congresswoman. Her name is Kate Corrigan, running in District 2 out of New York. That's Long Island. She is a go-getter, man. I mean, I'm telling you, when you see fire and talent kind of like coming out of the pores, she is certainly one to watch for me. I'm excited to see her because I know that she's very green, and I know that she could use, she's already been written up in the Post. There was a smear piece in the New York Post about her. And the first thing I did was I called her and I said, babe, you're on the map. You should enjoy this moment. You should take on every single bit of bad press and smile through it, because you're going to have, as soon as your name is out there, you're going to get smeared. You're going to get attacked. You're going to have all those bad things happen. And I'm so happy it's happening to her now. She's 23 or 24.
Wow.
And if you have Teflon skin, if you could grow Teflon skin early, you're going to have longevity in this game.
Okay, yeah. And 23 years old. Wow. So, Sue, I know that before we started our show, you were saying that there's a number of candidates in Rhode Island that are, up and coming. Would you like to talk about them a little bit? And and before we get to that, what were your thoughts on Hillary Clinton when she ran for president in 2016? What was that like a source of like inspiration and like motivation, or were you like, oh my gosh, not her?
That would be the second. Oh my gosh, not her. I grew up in New York. I found her a huge carpetbagger when she moved in, and she didn't know anything about the state. And how she won and became a U.S. Senator from New York with having absolutely no background in the state was offensive to me. I didn't like her policies. I think I agree with Angie that Bill Clinton, I happened to live in Washington, D.C. when he was president. I was present at his inauguration. He's very charming. I don't find the same about Hillary. I'm more looking for candidates that I can support what their ideas, what their policies are, regardless of their sexual orientation. But in terms of the number of female candidates that we've got up here in Rhode Island, we have Ashley Callis, who is running for governor. She is young, 39 years old, a fabulous, successful CEO of a medical company. So she was very much involved in COVID, in the testing. She has a really bright future in Rhode Island. We have Senator Jessica De La Cruz, who is going to run for Congress. She was just noticed from Representative Stepanak's Elevate PAC as an up-and-coming someone to watch. I call her my grit and grace candidate. She is a fighter, but she does it with such grace. She's a mother of 3 young boys, And she's done remarkable things in her short tenure up at our General Assembly here in Rhode Island. So she is just somebody that we are definitely watching. I've got another young female candidate, Amanda Blau, that's going to be running for General Assembly. She's 31 years old. She is smart, a young attorney, and she has a bright, bright future. So I am just so excited. And there are a number of other women that are running. We have a young woman, Marie Hopkins, who's a nurse who, through the COVID process, she got very interested in what was happening in the state and how we were handling the crisis. So she's going to be running. I'm just overwhelmed at the amount of women that are stepping up to the plate, and amount of young women that are stepping up to the plate that are conservatives and want their voices heard. So I think 2022 is going to be a great year for us.
Great. Looks like you've got your hands full, right? We've got a comment here from Mr. Wilkes again. Sue, did you believe Hillary when she said the New York Yankees were always her favorite team?
No, because she grew up in Chicago. So I'm just amazed that she said that. No.
Okay. And lastly, let's go to Madam Vice Chair. So Darlene, your thoughts on Hillary when she ran for president in 2016? Were you like, go Hillary, or were you like, oh no? And are there any female candidates or politicians in New Jersey that you see as maybe like up and comers?
So no, not a Hillary fan. I think that Hillary, unlike what we were talking about now about working together, I think that she really she had issues with a lot of women way back when Bill first came on the scene. So I do think that one of the big things that has helped women, especially young women, is technology. I mean, there's technology now, so you can be on a call just like this and home with your family, and you could get your family.
Oh, and speaking of that technology.
Speaking of technology, wow.
It sometimes comes in and out, right? But it's okay. It's a work in progress. Let me pose one last question to Angie and Sue, and when Darlene comes on, I'll give her the same opportunity. Oh, and here she is again. Let me just let her finish her thought on what she was saying. Madam Vice Chair, hello.
Yes, I don't know why I keep getting thrown out of here. It's bad technology is what I was talking about.
I know, it's bad technology.
No, I just think that there's a lot more options for women, you know, when there's a lot with childcare and with technology that they didn't have. And I think that it was a big separation between women that stayed home with their children and women that didn't. And I think Hillary, she did not make a lot of positive strides through those years. So when she ran for president, I agree. I have family in New York State, and she didn't do anything for them. So she became a senator just as a stepping stone, which I think it was obvious she was always out for her own personal gain. And that's just not an attractive candidate. So yeah. And New Jersey, we have actually, it's very exciting because we had 7 new gains in this past November, and 6 of them were women. So we have a huge amount of women that came in. We got another New Jersey senator that came in. So up and coming, yeah, we have a lot that's coming up through 2022. So it's going to be exciting in New Jersey.
Okay. Speaking of Hillary, you know, there are some rumblings in DC and nationally that perhaps she may be gearing up to run for president again in 2024. What are your thoughts on that? Angie?
Oh boy, I can't do 2016 again. I just don't need it. I don't know. I can't stomach it. Look, I feel like every time she says she's going to run, something happens in the news and then she goes quiet again. So there's obviously this kind of mechanism that
right.
Every time she kind of says, well, here I am, guys, I'm back, I'm still
and
here.
Then there's war in Ukraine.
Yeah, and then something comes around like Jeffrey Epstein or someone else
right.
comes back in the picture, and then she shuts up again. I don't know. I'm ready for a little bit of new blood. I think there are plenty of qualified women who could be the first female president of the United States. And I'd love to explore that pool. I know that the women here on this panel, we know there are plenty of qualified candidates, and I hope that, you know, we're grooming some of these female candidates for that role and for other leadership positions in all forms of government. So I'd like to see that. I mean, look, I'm a big fan of Winsome Sears. I think she's got grace. She's a vet. She's got all those things that are just so juicy to me, you know, working in campaigns. She's got all the right talking points, and she's got it, whatever that it thing is. To me, she has it. So I'd like to see more newcomers and new blood in you know, to talk about for 2024. But that's just me. I think the Hillary show, look, it would have been great. I think it would have been, just as a woman, to have a female president would have been great. I don't know about her.
Okay, thank you. Darlene, so what are some things that you would say to women, right, who may want to get involved in politics? What are some of the messages, some of the advice and tips that you would give them?
Well, I think that, first of all, we kind of love to talk about the national scene, but there really are a lot of local ways that women can get involved. And in your county levels, I know, Ron, you ran for commissioner, you're running again. People don't even know that these things exist. There's county committees, which are each, like your towns are split up into different county committees that you can get on a county committee. And so there's a lot of things that people can get involved instead of jumping, you know, right in and running for Congress, let's say. And maybe that is a good step for you, but I think sometimes people getting involved locally and working and kind of learning how it's all pieces together, then they become an even better candidate as time would go on. You need to be able to have a talent for it, just to public speak. You need to have the dedication and the time to do it. And then there's a whole fundraising piece, which we don't really like to talk about, but that is a whole piece to it. So I would say to, you know, start, first of all, going to your town Republican club, your town council meetings, see what the issues are. Of course, you know, school board has been a big thing as well. And there's lots of ways that you can get involved.
Okay, thank you, Darlene. And you know, I'm going to post it up here to a website for the Nj Gop. So if you're watching right now and you're in the state of New Jersey, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, right? If you want to get involved in New Jersey politics, please go to njgop.org, right? On that website, you can find the platform of the NJGOP and you know, contact methods and how to get involved, right? Okay, great. Now, Sue, what are some of your last words and some of your messages and tips that you would like to give to young women who may want to get involved, or just to anyone who wants to get involved in politics, not just in your state, but just you know, everywhere?
Yeah, there's lots of ways to get involved. You know, you can be behind the scenes if you don't have the confidence and you don't feel like you have the qualifications to run for office. We have different clubs. We have a conservative club. We have the Young Republicans. We have the Rhode Island Federation of Republican Women. There's the Liberty Caucus, who are more libertarian leaning. So there's different ways that you can get involved, meet people. You know, I ran for school board. I was interested. I had 5 children. I was interested in education. It was my first foray into Rhode Island politics. Then I ran for my town council. There's so many different opportunities for you to get involved. We take volunteers in this office. Our state is basically an all volunteer organization. I volunteer my time to do this. So we have plenty of opportunities to phone bank, to go walk with our candidates in the fall if you're interested in learning how to campaign. So we can train you. We help you every step of the way, and certainly our candidates. We just came off a weekend of candidate training where we go soup to nuts, how you get into a campaign, how you fundraise, your political, digital, data, communication strategy. So we don't send you out to the wolves, but we will support you and hold your hand, which is particularly important for first-time candidates. I ran And I had none of that support. So as chair of the party, I want to make sure that anybody that steps up to the plate and is interested in running has a good idea of what the issues are, what you should focus in on, from media training to walking your district and how you're going to win. So we want to make sure that our candidates are well prepared when they hit the streets and go run. But there's many opportunities that we have for them along the way. If you don't want to run for office, you can be a campaign manager, a campaign treasurer. You can just be a lit drop person to get involved. It's really crucial, and certainly crucial in 2022, that everybody starts paying attention and does something to help, for me, conservative people get elected to office.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. And of course, if you're watching this and you want to learn more about the Rhode Island GOP, you can go to www.ri.gop. There they can find how to contact you, how to get involved, and the basic platform of the Rhode Island GOP, right?
Yes.
Now, Angie, you got the last word. What would you say to young women who might want to get involved in politics? What are your words of wisdom that you would impart to them?
Well, I want to take Sue's boot camp for candidates. I mean, I wish that all the GOP clubs would have that. There's so many first run candidates that just drop in and they don't know what they're doing, and they're learning on the job, which then hurts their campaign. So I definitely congratulate Sue for having this boot camp. I wish that I even went through it as when I was essentially a campaign manager. Look, start local, learn the ropes, learn how it's done. A lot of people just want to be congressmen, women, or senators or governors right off the bat because they think it's a glamour job. The reality is that this is a public administrative job, and you still need to learn all the different facets. You need to be a lawyer, you need to be an accountant, you need to be an admin, all those things. One of the things that irks me about politicians are the career politicians who've never had to do basic project management things like time management or project management or anything, so that you end up having a messy government. So I would say that women who want to jump in, I would definitely consider what is involved. I would talk to previous runners. I would talk to political candidates if they can. I would definitely join the local GOP clubs and learn as much as possible from them and get their support. But more importantly, follow up on the news and be relevant in your talking points. But more, look, you can always come find PACs like me. I know we're a little bit unique in that we tend to be a little bit more identity driven, but I'm always happy to speak to candidates. I'm always willing to take a phone call or a coffee, and that's where you start, right? You start by talking to women on this panel, to you, Ron, because you've run, you have to be a reporter at first. And then most importantly, I think fundraising is a big deal. You're not going to be able to run without having those type of skills, and you can't outsource fundraising. I know a lot of people do, a lot of candidates want to do that, but ultimately you're the product and you have to sell it. So, be good at that, if nothing else.
Great. Thank you, Angie. And of course, the website for the PAC that you work for is www.blackpac.gop. And the viewers can go there to find out more about what the Super PAC does, and also ways to contact you, right? If they wanted to reach out.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right, guys, we're going to finish with two more comments. Okay, one comment from Diana Cerejo, who actually ran for council in Woodcliff Lake here in Jersey. She did a great job. Agree, just go for it. We need involvement from all. Yep. And then finally, one more from Barry. For Republican women, stay strong and don't let the left intimidate you. We look for council candidates every single year, and it's hard to get good women because they fear that their children will be bullied in school by the Dems. Stay strong, persevere, and be fearless. Great words of advice from Barry, a man. It might be the first time in history that a man gave good sound, good sound, talking points. But thank you, Barry. Okay, so ladies, I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's been my honor and a pleasure to have three titans from the political world join little old me for my little weekly show. But it's been an eye opener, right, to see what strong women can do, right, if they put their mind to it, right. So thank you so much, and we hope to talk to all of you very, very soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank you,
International
Ron.
Women's Day. Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
It's been great
International
sharing
Women's Day.
Women's Day with
Thank
you
you,
all.
Ron.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So, wow, what a show, what a panel. And I'm really so honored and so proud to be able to conduct this show today with these three fine ladies. Not only are they smart, capable, and pretty, right, but they know how to get the job done, right, and they've risen to the top of their ranks by through sheer hard work, and they've had to do this while raising kids, right. In the case of Sue, she has 5 kids. Darlene has 3, and Angie has 2. So it's tough work, and but they also said, right, they wouldn't be able to do all that they do if it were not for the men in their lives who take care of the children, right. And I think that's true too. So us men, we do offer some sort of help, right. So but I want to thank them for coming on. We are on this Sunday again. All right, this Sunday we are going to be on for our regular show, March 13th, 8 p.m. This Sunday we have 2 great guests. Our first guest is Jerry Scharfenberger. He is the assemblyman here from Jersey. He's going to be talking to us about his platform, about what he's doing for our great state. We're also talking to Mr. Noah Malgiri. He's running for Congress in Nevada, right? The great state. And he's going to be on our show for the first time. So it's going to be great to talk to him. I am streaming now live onto Getter, Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're not on Facebook, if you're not on Getter or on Rumble, please go there and add me. Okay, you can find me on Rumble by searching for www.rumble.com/Real Talk with Ronnie. You can find me on Getter through my handle @RonaldJosephLynn. Okay, great. So guys, what an honor. It is March 8th, 2022, International Women's Day. I want to thank you for joining Real Talk with Ronnie live. And to all the women out there, happy International Women's Day. You truly are the, better gender. And we owe a lot to you because, quite literally, we wouldn't be on this earth, on this planet without women. We're all birthed by women. So I want to give a special shout out to my mom, to my wife, and to all the incredible women in my life that make it possible for me to do what I do, right? So while I'm doing this show, right, my mom and my wife, they're taking care of both of our boys. And I want to thank them for all the work that they do. And, when my wife gave birth to our second child, I was actually in the room and I saw the whole process, and it was quite gruesome. So after seeing that, I have a newfound respect, not that I didn't have it before, but even more respect for women and all that they do. Okay, so thank you to all that are watching, and I will see you all on Sunday. All right, bye-bye, and take care, and God bless. I love you all. Bye-bye.